Okay, so we are gonna start out with District 2 case. So if we could just quick go through the numbers, you'll see that we're down from last year, 4 homicides. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that we're up slightly with non-fatal shootings. And then Lieutenant Kavanaugh is gonna start out with the District 2 case, and then we're gonna come back and start out at the top with the District 7 case.
Happened April 21st at about 3:40 in the morning. Our victim, Mr. Noble, is from Burlington. He picked up a prostitute that he had frequented 3 to 4 times in the past, and she told him she was interested in purchasing some crack cocaine. So she then called her dealer, who she had dealt with, she said, hundreds of times over the past several years, and they agreed to a meet spot. Her dealer arrived at that location and attempted to rob the victim. He fought back and was shot in his vehicle, and the drug dealer then fled. Ms. Goodman, the prostitute, waited around, told the police what she did know. She cooperated, which relatively early on in the investigation led us at least to the identity of the killer. He was out for a short period of time before we were able to catch up with him and arrest him. And that's pretty much the story in a nutshell.
So they've both been arrested
They have.
and charged?
Tama was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, armed robbery, and felon in possession, and his next court date is June 5th for scheduling. And Moreno I believe he was arrested, and as of yet, he is yet to be charged.
Okay, so what does District 2 know about this case?
The area around Lincoln is a high prostitution area. It's one of our 3 target streets, the other being Greenfield and National, being prostitution suites. Ms. Goodman is very well known to the district. My partner is a bicycle officer, has dealt with her.
Is that what she looks like?
Dealt with her numerous times. Mr. Tomo's known in the district as well. I believe he and Richard were involved. Were interviewed regarding a robbery in December of 2012 on 5th Place. Mr. Tomo's former residence. As prostitution and drug sales are going to be a problem, robberies like this and shootings are going to go along with them, unfortunately.
Okay. And you said is there some prostitution initiative plan in District 2?
Yeah, on and off. I think we did one in April. It was the last time. April, May.
End of March.
End of March. But Lincoln's definitely in that area. Is one of our target areas.
What do we know from DOC? Was anybody on supervision?
Richard Moreno, he was probation 3 years, but he was supposed to have an intake, come in for orientation, and then he got placed in custody, so the intake was never actually done. But he's supposed to do 3 years of probation for a robbery parade to a crime 2012 case. The last known address that the agent had on him was a 140 South 76th Street, lower unit. And like Dave said, he was scheduled to see him for his intake, and because he was placed in custody for this, that never took place.
Anything on Sean?
Sean Tomo was previously on supervision. I don't know when he discharged, but at the time of this incident, he wasn't on supervision. He was previously on for a intent to deliver case, was sent to prison. He was revoked twice for absconding and gang activity and weapons violations and absconding.
And when was he released from supervision?
The date, I don't have the date of when discharged.
He was placed on probation when, and isn't the turnaround from that like 2 or 3 weeks from the time that they're placed on probation and they go through intake?
He was sentenced on 3/15/2013, and he was supposed to have an orientation. I guess he didn't come in for it, and then when they rescheduled to meet at the Mill Road location, he was taken into custody right before.
And did anybody know anything about John Noble? Was he somebody that you guys knew?
I think the only thing that we had him in the Department of Records was he was a repo agent, and he was a victim of an RAS where he was trying to take possession of the vehicle. The former owner touched him with the vehicle. I want to say 2000, somewhere around there. He hasn't been in any kind of record that I could find besides this.
Okay, Ann, what do you know?
John Noble was a victim of that RAS in 2009, same information that Kevin just said. In 1999, he had a disorderly conduct and was ultimately dismissed. The suspect, Sean Timo, has a 2006 operating vehicle without owner's consent, for which he received 8 months house of correction time. 2006, he had a possession with intent cocaine case, for which Kim already mentioned he was on probation. Received probation. He had 2 years in, 2 years out, 2 years and 6 months, concurrent to that 2006 Oblock case. He had 3 no process cases. 2006, there was a no process substantial battery. 2006, no process operate the vehicle without owner's consent. In 2008, no process felon in possession of a firearm. There were no notes in protect because those cases are dated. The other suspect, Richard Moreno, I have him just at this point being listed as a witness in that homicide case. 2012, he was initially charged with armed robbery, threat of force. It was amended to a robbery. Timo was also involved with that robbery. Basically, Timo goes up to the victim, shakes his hand. Moreno is acting with him. He also goes up to the victim, punches the victim in the face. The victim states that Moreno produces a handgun and demands property. Moreno was ID'd. He admitted to punching the victim and taking his property, but denies having the gun. And as Kim mentioned, he received 3 in, 3 out, stayed for 3 years probation, and got 30 days condition time. He has 2 no processed cases. From May of 2012, there was a robbery that he was implicated in. The victim did not ID. It was basically a drug deal gone bad. There were some credibility issues with the victim. The victim had much more of a lengthy record than the suspect. Then there was another no process case from March of 2013, first degree recklessly endangering safety. No process, basically due to lack of corroboration and completely incredible victim. It was the victim and the defendant are cousins. Mr. Moreno started dating the defendant's ex-girlfriend and child's mother. Mr. Moreno gave the victim a chance to beat him up. The defendant did that. They saw each other at a bar. A while later, the defendant initiated a fight, beat up on Mr. Moreno. Later, it was reported by the victim that Mr. Moreno drove by in a car and shot at him. Mr. Moreno denies that and states that it was someone in the victim's party that actually shot the victim. The victim did not report the incident until about 4 hours later and was lacking some detail. The stories just didn't match up, so the case was no processed.
So what about the witness? Anything on her?
I think on our record, all we had, she's been booked through, I want to say, 12.5 times, all citations. I couldn't pull up the municipal records, but I'll hazard the guess it's Florida prostitution related drug paraphernalia.
That must not have been. What did you say?
Richard Moreno,
Oh, yeah.
who's one of the suspects.
He was under juvenile corrections, under our supervision, he had a 1-year order, back in 2010. His offense date was January of 2010 for criminal damage to property and graffiti. He, was sentenced to, or was placed under Lincoln Hills, and he came out, onto community supervision on October 28th, 2010, and he subsequently discharged from us in March of 2011. So he did the 1-year order. He was extendable, but he did well under supervision. He completed the programming without any violations, and he was allowed to discharge after his 1-year order was up. He had a prior case for operating motor vehicle without owner's consent and a resisting obstructing, which was dismissed and read in.
Okay, this one happens on the 10th of April. It's an unsolved case. Our victim in this is Eric Madison. He is on this night alone up at a bar on West Villard Avenue. He meets a lady at the bar, and she's going to go run a girlfriend home and come back to the bar and meet Madison. And he tells her that he then has something else to do himself. He's going to leave and come back and meet her up. So he leaves. Shortly after he leaves, he's eastbound on West Hampton Avenue. His SUV then crosses the median and slams into a building. And he's found to have one single gunshot wound to his chest that takes his life. ME recovers the bullet. It's a .45 caliber. Sometime later, out in front of the Hampton House bar, we find a .45 caliber casing at that location. There were 2 females who were, I believe, westbound on Hampton here, and they see Eric's vehicle jump the median and go into oncoming traffic before it crashes into the vehicle. They don't see anybody shooting at him or any suspects. They do identify a van with 2 male actors who stop, attempt to render aid. They thought it was suspicious. We found those people and cleared them in this. And as of now, it is unsolved.
And it seems to me,
The area where this happened, it's a well-parked area, it's heavily cluttered with CBS gang members over there. We do have some problem bars. Larry Schiesta was over there, but he was closed by the time that this happened. Life Bar is over at 52nd in Hampton. That's also, we were actually there like about 2 weeks ago inside of that bar, so we have some problem licensed premises in the area. Where that vehicle actually came to a stop is a nuisance apartment complex, but he wasn't involved with this. And we've actually had a nuisance in McDonald's across the street from where the crash happened because of the heroin use, but they worked with us to clean it up. So the area's got its fair share of problems over there. As far as Eric Madison goes, calls to his house were pretty much insignificant. There's about a month prior to this incident, Wauwatosa PD was notifying us that they were going over there for something. I'm guessing it was probably some kind of woman notification type stuff. He was arrested in February of this year for VOP and also for VOP in October of this year. He was on paper for robbing the Burger King on Green Bay Avenue back in 2007. He got 3 years initial confinement. We got earned release and got out early. It's 6 years supervision on that. Not real known to us. District 7 had probably shouldn't have been driving. I'm sure he didn't have a license. Most of his encounters with law recent were traffic violations.
so he's not in a gang group or group?
I checked ACES. I couldn't find anything to time or tabs on booking records to time to any kind of a game.
And when did you say he had the VOPs?
February 26th of this year and October 14th of this year.
What is DOC know?
The February of this year, VOP was for traffic violation and also a narcotics investigation. That was on February 26th. However, on March 4th, when he gave his statement to his agent. He denied having any drugs or being involved in any drug dealing behavior. And he did admit to driving without a driver's license. So no, he did not have a valid driver's license. For that incident, he was given it was a disciplinary custody because the only thing they had was the traffic violation. In October, he had absconded, and in October he was taken into custody for the absconding and received a 90-day ES sanction for that. He last saw his agent February 14th of this year. He was not employed, but seemed to be looking for work. He was being seen at minimum, seeing his agent once monthly. There was not an active warrant for him when he was arrested, as he had just seen his agent in February. He did have some issues with absconding, but for the most part, he was compliant with his rules in regards to when he was reporting, at least in regards to looking for work, having stable residence. He did, he had some positive UAs he was given 5 UAs, 2 of them were positive for marijuana. He was referred to a batter's interventions program for an incident with a girlfriend, which he did not complete. And you have his prior record there. That's pretty much it.
What were his compass scores?
And he was never entered into Compass.
And how does that process work when somebody can be entered? Is that something that's done right away, that initial screening?
Yes, it is usually done soon after release, if not that initial appointment. But it sounded like with his issues with absconding, it was never completed. One time that it was going to be completed, he wasn't cooperating with answering the questions, so his agent rescheduled an appointment, and after that he absconded again.
So, Mike, in this kind of a situation then, if they have absconded and there's no compass score, what would the protocol be, to elevate their level of supervision, or?
Well, that could be one of the things we would do. We would most likely look at putting a warning in the system for him or her, as the case may be. We obviously want to get him in custody and then get that compass assessment done so that we have some risk scores so we can make a decision internally what level of supervision the person should be on. So that was not done, and we are looking into why that was not done. Partially, as Agent Ivory stated, it was because of some absconding and some uncooperativeness on the offender's part, but I'm looking into the agent's part.
So is there a tickler system or something that would identify somebody that's been out on supervision for a time without having a completed compass?
There isn't a tickler system per se. Our internal record system would indicate that. The agent and the supervisor would staff that case. It would be notated that a compass assessment hasn't been completed. And then the next steps would be likely to put a warrant out, send out import, even to look for the individual and try to get them in custody.
So, Compass is relatively new, right? You've been doing it for
A couple of years, probably.
And I guess I've not asked, since we started looking at Compass scores, we haven't really asked the question about, has the Compass assessment been complete? But is this something that you think is unique to this case, or do you think it's something that's probably more of a systems issue, or it's just
unique to this?
I think it's unique to this case. Most of our campus assessments are completed. Even the cases that were on supervision prior to campus, we call them legacy cases. We've gone back and entered all those people in. There, time to time, you have one or two individuals that won't cooperate or they abscond, but it's not a system issue. This is a case-specific